You just heard from John Roberts of the United Nations, and you've been seeing the reporting through Washington. It looks like the Speaker of the House tomorrow at 4 o'clock is going to be meeting with other Democratic Congress men and women to decide what to do about possibly impeaching the President of the United States. Joining us now is sitting Congresswoman who wants to be the Democratic nominee and eventually the President, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. Congresswoman, great to see you. First off, you can't be there at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Actually, I will be there tomorrow.
You will be there tomorrow.
Back to Washington.
So will you go to that meeting,
Yeah.
and where do you stand right now in terms of impeachment or an inquiry?
Look, I've been consistent in saying that I believe that impeachment at this juncture would be terribly divisive for the country at a time when we are already extremely divided. The hyperpartisanship is one of the main things that is driving our country apart. I think it's important to defeat Donald Trump. That's why I'm running for president. But I think it's the American people who need to make their voices heard in making that decision.
Next, the big thing is the people going to vote for you are not mainly a lot to do with your international relations experience and the times you served. I know you've been very critical of Saudi Arabia and our alliance with them. And yesterday, Britain, France, and Germany all joined the U.S. in blaming Iran for the attacks on Saudi Arabia. Do you believe, since Saudi Arabia has been a longtime ally, that America has a role in somehow making them pay for that type of heinous act?
No. I think we've got to understand clearly the situation that exists. First of all, the United States has no treaty alliance or security agreement with Saudi Arabia. So the United States responding on behalf of Saudi Arabia would really be unprecedented. Second, we've got to understand that Iran is retaliating, that this situation didn't just come out of nowhere. These crippling sanctions have really crippled Iran's economy, and so this response was because they're not able to sell their oil on the market. The danger of continuing this tit-for-tat, this cycle of mutual retaliation, where does it end? Right. It ends in an all-out inferno across Iran and the Middle East, costing us American lives, costing American taxpayer dollars, increasing the refugee crisis in the region. That's not something that serves our interests or anyone else's.
Yeah, I think you would also agree, though, between Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and the financing of that, they create more unrest than any other player.
I make no excuse for what Iran does, but I think our interest needs to be what's in the best interest of the American people and our national security, and I think it's important that we keep that at the forefront.
So I know you've been upset a little bit the way the DNC has been going fast and loose with the debate rules as you run for president of the United States. You've just come out with, as of yesterday, new rules and new criteria to qualify for the next round of debates. Here we go. You need donations from at least 165,000 separate donors, 600 unique donors in 20 states. And you're like kind of looking with me for the first time, right? 3% in at least 4 approved national or early state polls, or 5% in 2 early state polls, whether it's New Hampshire, South Carolina, or Iowa or Nevada. Have you hit this criteria, or are you close?
We have far surpassed the grassroots donor requirement weeks ago, the previous requirement as well as this new one that's been announced. It's the polling requirements that have really been kind of arbitrary about which polls the DNC recognizes as credible, which ones they don't. This is the problem, not just for me and my campaign, but really the problem is for voters who are seeing a lack of transparency, therefore a lack of trust in the process, and are questioning, is this really working for us? Or is the DNC just trying to be these gatekeepers in Washington, dictating to voters in the early states, especially like Iowa and New Hampshire, who they are allowed to choose from to be our Democratic nominee. That's the problem. And
I know one thing is pretty certain. You're one candidate who's not going to be intimidated. You've always made that clear. As your family combines, your sister's helping you out.
Not as a candidate, not as President of the United States.
And your husband's helping you out, your sister's helping you out. It's a family affair.
Grateful.
Congresswoman, thanks so much. Great to see you. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Really appreciate it.